Tonight, the mysterious outage at Newark International Airport. Computer screens going dark for as long as 90 seconds. Air traffic controllers unable to talk to aircrafts. What could have gone wrong and what's being done to prevent this in the future? Diddy jury selection is now underway. The trial is expected to last for several weeks. When could it begin and how does the jury selection process work? Aaron Katersky is standing by at the courthouse. Tonight, the disturbing scene unfolding near San Diego, a boat washing ashore with dead bodies. The investigation into what happened. Tonight, President Trump appears to offer migrants money in order to self-deport. This comes after he said in an interview he may not need to uphold the Constitution. And tonight, the headline the president is making about one of the most notorious prisons in America that's been shuttered for decades.
Always this tape.
And only
this. For popes,
only
cardinals, bishops.
He's tailored for priests, bishops, cardinals, and 3 popes. Now he's getting a whole bunch of people ready for the conclave. It is the most watched Met Gala in years. And tonight, our exclusive with Anna Wintour.
You never come across this, you panic. You hosted 26?
I think it's 26, but each one is very different. And this one has been, I think, particularly meaningful and emotional and has a real heightened sense of purpose because of the times that we're living in.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin with a growing alarm at one of the nation's busiest airports. 90 seconds may seem like a quick glitch, but when it impacts the entire air traffic control system at Newark International Airport, it is serious cause for concern. Sources tell ABC News air traffic computer screens went dark for up to 90 seconds last Monday. Controllers were unable to see, hear, or talk to pilots in the aircraft they were monitoring. We've now learned a number of air traffic controllers on duty during that outage were so shaken by what happened, they've now taken medical leave, adding to a system already chronically understaffed. Subsequently, 8 straight days of major delays at Newark International, arrivals averaging 4-hour delays. And those delays are causing a domino effect at airports across the country. Just how concerned should we all be about the safety of our skies? We have John Nance standing by to answer your aviation questions. But first, Matt Rivers leads us off from Newark International tonight with the growing concerns.
Growing alarm at Newark's Liberty Airport tonight. ABC News learning air traffic controllers lost radar and communications with planes packed with passengers for 60 to 90 seconds last week. A system-wide outage last Monday at a Philadelphia facility that manages the airspace around Newark Airport caused controllers to lose the ability to see, hear, or talk to all arriving and departing aircraft at one of the busiest airports in the country. Pilots can be heard learning of the outage over the radio.
I just got told that the approach lost all their radars. 3 of their 4 radar screens went black, and they have no frequencies.
Controllers from another tower advising pilots that radio frequencies have failed.
And they want you to be advised that they may not be able to radar contact you because of the radar issues, and they may lose you on for certain times of when you're flying.
In a statement, the union saying many controllers took medical leave, citing, quote, a traumatic event. United Airlines, which has a major hub at Newark, accusing the controllers of, quote, walking off the job. But no matter the reason, the result has been chaos. For the 8th day in a row, delays and cancellations mounting, and tonight, the average delay on some arrivals nearly 4 hours.
Nobody knows what's next, and if my flight's getting delayed more.
The FAA has already warned that runway construction and a shortage of controllers would disrupt the number of planes scheduled to fly in or out. United Airlines cutting at least 35 round-trip flights per day, saying without more air traffic controllers, they have no choice.
All right, our thanks to Matt Rivers for that. Our aviation consultant and former Air Force pilot John Nance joins us now. John, what concerns you most about this situation?
The fact that a lot of this has been around for a very long time. We're 3,000 people short in terms of air traffic control. This endemic problem has been with us for over 30 years, and Congress simply refuses to take care of it.
I hate to talk worst case scenarios, really, but what could have happened here?
Well, first of all, I can tell you from a controller's point of view, I'm not a controller, but I know a lot of these folks. They're wonderful people. But 60 to 90 seconds of not being able to communicate with all the air traffic, that's an eternity. That would scare the heck out of anybody.
Have you ever heard about any kind of scenario remotely close to something like this happening?
We have had blackouts before in different air traffic control facilities around the country, most notably what they call the air traffic control centers, which take care of air traffic all across the country, not so much the approaches. But by the same token, anytime this happens, it's like pulling the rug out from under the controllers, and the pilots have only their previous clearance to go with. So it's a very dangerous situation.
What needs to be done in order for the public to have more confidence in the air traffic around Newark and beyond?
First of all, it's not a matter of just turning on the spigot and adding 3,000 controllers. It's going to take a long time to do that. But we've got to have the financial dedication from Congress to get that done, and without any pulling back or changing on the methodologies that are in use now. Secondly, we're really going to have to watch the airports are going to have to watch the advent of runway construction and when that's going to take place and how it's going to take place. Because when you have a major airport like Newark and you're down by one runway, that becomes serious, and it ripples across the entirety of the airspace in the U.S.
Pardon the repetition, John. I feel like we're asking the same question week after week, and that what seems to be happening, I don't know if we're hearing more about it because of social media, but it definitely seems that there has been an increase in these incidents, at least anecdotally, in the last few months.
I think two things are happening. Number one, we in the media are always very sensitive when any crashes have occurred or there's been a major problem in air transportation, and that ripples on for another couple of months. But secondly, air traffic and aviation and airlines have become such an integral part of our society worldwide, and it's going to get even more so from now. So it is a legitimate area of inquiry, and people really get nervous and want to know the details.
All right, John Nance for us. Thank you so much for your expertise as always.
Thank you.
Jury selection is now underway in the high-profile Sean Diddy Combs trial. Potential jurors were asked about that disturbing hotel surveillance video showing Combs dragging and kicking his former girlfriend and other celebrities whose names might emerge in the trial. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is at the courthouse tonight.
Tonight, jury selection is underway in the most anticipated trial of the year, the racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking trial of Sean Combs. Federal prosecutors are trying to prove Combs used his power, wealth, and fame to force women into drug-fueled orgies known as freak-offs and then threaten them into silence. Many of the prospective jurors signaled they're familiar with the case and this potentially damning piece of evidence. Video, first obtained by CNN, showing Combs chasing then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura down a hotel hallway in 2016, knocking her to the floor and kicking her. One woman called the video disturbing, telling the judge, "It was upsetting to watch, but I don't know the full story, so I can listen to the facts." The defense wanted her to be dismissed, but the judge allowed her to remain in the jury pool. Jurors filling out this written questionnaire saying there may be graphic and sexually explicit evidence in connection with the case and asking if there's anything that would make it difficult for you to be fair and impartial. Many prospective jurors also saying they recognize the names of other celebrities that might come up at trial. The judge tried to keep things moving, so when the defense asked for a bathroom break, Combs apologized, saying, "Sorry, Judge, I'm a little nervous today." His lawyers are aiming to convince the jury the government is trying to police consensual sex by a swinger who they say invited others into his bedroom.
Aaron Katersky joins us now from outside the courthouse in New York City. So, Aaron, give us a sense of what we can expect in the coming days.
It's such an incredible cross-section of people that comes here. There's the teacher from the Bronx who said she watches old stuff like the Golden Girls on television, and then the high school wrestling coach from Westchester who says he's too busy with his 2 kids to have many hobbies. All of them are being asked questions that will determine whether they will sit in judgment of Sean Combs, one of the most prolific hip-hop artists of all time. Lindsay, no juror has yet been seated, so jury selection will pick up right back here in the morning. Lindsay?
All right, we'll see how long it takes ultimately. Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much. To talk more about the jury selection process, let's bring in Dr. Eric Rudich, managing partner and senior litigation consultant at Blueprint Trial Consulting. Eric, thanks so much for joining us. How do attorneys on both sides prepare to choose a jury?
Well, typically they hire a consultant like myself, and they will do a lot of background information about the jurors. They'll certainly thoroughly scrutinize the juror questionnaires. Both sides may have done pretrial jury research to identify the characteristics of jurors who are most likely to be favorable or, more importantly, for that particular side, unfavorable to their case. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into before actually selecting a jury.
Prospective jurors were given a questionnaire last week asking them everything from if they or someone close to them has been sexually assaulted to whether they'd be okay with Diddy not testifying. What are they looking for to weed out potential jurors?
Well, both sides are looking for jurors who are going to be fair and impartial in this case. And there are a number of questions on that juror questionnaire that explicitly ask the jurors if they, based on their attitudes and experiences, if they can be fair and impartial. For example, there are questions pertaining to whether someone has been involved in sexual assault or has sexually assaulted someone. And the follow-up question is, can you be fair and impartial despite that or that experience? So, the judge and the attorneys are using that questionnaire to select a fair and impartial jury. And from that, they're going to more closely evaluate the jurors that are left to determine who are the jurors going to be least favorable to their case.
With a case like this one, with someone so high profile, how may the defense have to handle things differently?
They will have to determine what news sources and what information the jurors have know about, what do they know about the case, and what opinions that they formed about P. Diddy and the case, whether they have seen, for example, the Cassandra video or know about other elements of the case that will be presented. So, that's going to be an important aspect of the case, which is atypical for a lot of cases where jurors don't have a lot of information or haven't heard a lot of information before showing up for jury duty.
So if you are on the side of the defense team, ideally, are you looking for someone who hasn't seen the Cassie video, who really doesn't know much about the trial, who really doesn't even maybe know much about his success? What is the ideal juror for the defense?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly having seen that video doesn't help, my opinion, Sean Combs's case. But if you look on, if you look in social media and what people are saying about this case, there are a number of different opinions and views. Some are favorable to Mr. Combs and some are unfavorable. So even despite the news coverage, people, come to court with their own lens based on what they've heard and the opinions that they've formed.
We've seen some jury selections go quickly, others take months, as you know. What do you think might happen in this case?
Well, they expect jury selection to take 3 days, and in federal court, the judges typically move jury selection at a more quicker pace than in state courts. So, and the judge ultimately controls the pace of jury selection. And they're going to bring in jurors one at a time and question each juror individually. And I suspect that they will have 45 jurors within 3 days, and from there, they will select a jury.
Eric Rudich, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Tonight, we are tracking a tragedy off the coast of San Diego after a capsized boat washed ashore. 4 survivors were recovered, but 3 people are dead and many more missing. Authorities suspect human smuggling may be to blame. ABC Trevor Alt is on the scene for us.
This is the moment a wave flipped a suspected human smuggling boat carrying at least 16 people off the California coast. The boat washing ashore around 6:30 this morning on Torrey Pines State Beach near San Diego. A frantic search for survivors now underway.
We see a bunch of helicopters, Border Patrol, cops.
Authorities say at least 3 people were killed, 4 more rushed to the hospital. First responders searching for at least 9 missing.
We do have air resources that are sweeping lateral north and south of the beach. We do have lifeguards in the water on boats and jet skis.
The 12-foot vessel is called a panga boat. It's designed for fishing, but commonly used by smugglers slipping people past the border.
Right there, you can see the beginning of the border wall between the U.S. and Mexico.
The Coast Guard telling our Matt Gutman in February they encounter about 350 migrants a month in these same waters off San Diego.
The operators of the vessels have very little regard for their safety, for the safety of the individuals that are on board their vessels.
Our thanks to Trevor Ault. Tonight, the Trump administration is offering migrants new incentives to self-deport. President Trump said that they can apply for a free flight to their home country and for $1,000 when they land, adding if they do not self-deport, they will never get a path to come back in. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
Tonight, in an attempt to accelerate his mass deportation efforts, President Trump unveiling a new plan, offering undocumented immigrants $1,000 in taxpayer money and a plane ticket to self-deport.
We're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people.
The Trump administration says they've deported 150,000 people since January, far short of the pace needed to remove the tens of millions the president promised. Trump today blaming required immigration hearings for slowing down his plan.
The courts have all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they said, maybe you have to have trials. We're going to have 5 million trials. Doesn't work.
In a remarkable statement, the president refusing to say whether he believes he needs to uphold the Constitution and the right to due process.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
Tonight, the administration insisting Trump's new self-deportation plan won't just jumpstart deportations, it will also save money, noting the average cost to arrest, detain, and remove an undocumented immigrant is more than $17,000. They say one person has already taken up their offer, booking a flight from Chicago to Honduras. And tonight, Trump, who has sent hundreds of undocumented migrants to a notorious prison in El Salvador without any due process, is now talking about reopening one of America's most infamous prisons, Alcatraz. Known as The Rock, perched on a rugged, hard-to-reach island off San Francisco, it closed over 60 years ago because its remote location made it too expensive to operate. Now, Trump wants to bring it back, saying he's instructing the Bureau of Prisons to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders.
But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point.
Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. So let's get back to self-deportation. The administration is billing this, it sounds like, as the best way to leave the U.S. and avoid arrest.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And touting this new plan, administration officials tonight are stressing that if undocumented immigrants don't leave on their own, that they will come after them and remove them. The president saying that if you don't self-deport, you will never get a path to get back in. Lindsay.
All right, Mary Bruce from the White House for us. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Tonight, Israel is approving plans to seize all of the Gaza Strip. That includes a major call-up of thousands of reserve troops and moving all Palestinians into southern Gaza. But what will that mean for the hostages Hamas still holds, including 5 Americans? Here's our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell.
Tonight, in a major escalation, Israel approving plans to seize control of the entire Gaza Strip, calling up tens of thousands of reservists and massive military mobilization. A senior Israeli official saying if no hostage and ceasefire deals reached by the time President Trump finishes his trip to the Middle East next week, a new offensive will begin. All civilians will be forced to move to southern Gaza, with scenes of desperation playing out right now. Israel also saying it'll deliver desperately needed food and medicine amid its punishing blockade of vital humanitarian aid, now more than 2 months in. Our team getting access inside Gaza's Nasser hospital. At just 4 months old, Siwa only weighs 5 pounds, less than half of what she should. If she can't get food soon, her doctor fears she'll die.
Siwa is facing severe critical situation.
And tonight, with Hamas still holding more than 50 hostages, including 5 Americans, growing concern this war could escalate further.
Lindsay, this is a critical moment for Gaza, and the pressure is really on President Trump now to try and broker a deal and bring the hostages home. Lindsay.
Very critical indeed, Ian. Thank you. At the Vatican tonight, final preparations are underway for the secret meeting, the conclave, where the cardinals will elect the next pope. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman is asking the cardinals what's top of mind.
With just under 48 hours until the first votes are cast, the most powerful men of the Catholic Church are focusing their minds and mostly keeping their silence.
Eminence, hello.
Buonasera.
How was today's meeting?
Good.
Hello, Eminence. How was today's meeting? It's the daily dance of the cardinals and the journalists. But the countdown is on.
But the Archbishop of Jakarta, Indonesia, did stop to offer a clue. He's one of the 133 cardinals who will choose the next pope.
What kind of leader would you like?
Many cardinals mention Pope Francis. That is, I think that is an indication.
Why? His style or his faith, his doctrine?
His simplicity.
And today we got a closer look at the outfit the new pope will be wearing.
The vestments for the next pope.
From tailor to the Pope, Ranieri Mancinelli.
Nona Altezza.
We've made a small, medium and large, he says, for the waist, but not the height.
33 buttons, each one for every year that Christ lived.
But the tailor has made only one zucchetto, the Pope's famous white cap.
Lindsay, tomorrow the cardinals will move into the Santa Marta residence and out of the world's gaze. On Wednesday, they will take their oath of secrecy and conclave will begin. Lindsay?
James, thank you. And we'll be there in Vatican City to cover the conclave starting tomorrow night. You can stream all of our conclave coverage on ABC News Live. And we'll, of course, have a special edition of Prime from Italy tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is ordering deep cuts to military leadership. In a signed memo released today, he called for a 20% reduction of four-star general officers and a similar reduction of top positions in the National Guard. These cuts, he says, are to streamline the armed forces. Hegseth has already fired a number of generals, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The Trump administration unveiled new steps to target federal funding to Harvard University, announcing Monday that it's cutting off all new federal research grants. The move is estimated to impact more than $1 billion a year in funding. The Trump administration has also threatened to revoke the university's tax-exempt status if it does not submit to a long list of demands, including eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and banning masks at campus protests. Tonight, we're tracking flood watches and severe thunderstorms across more than a dozen states. More than 40 million people are on alert for heavy rain, hail, and damaging winds from New Mexico to Florida to the Northeast. There's also a major flash flood threat tomorrow in Louisiana and the Deep South, with eastern Texas bracing for another round of severe storms. Still ahead, caught on camera, a multi-million-dollar Lamborghini yacht sinking off Miami Beach. We'll tell you how this ended up happening. But first, with fashion's biggest night already underway, we sit down exclusively with Vogue's editor-in-chief, Anna Wintour, the chair of the Met Gala.
So
Yes.
what is the message that sends?
Well, obviously, the exhibition is recognizing black designers and recognizing the joy and confidence and almost the liberation of dressing with confidence can mean to everybody.
Next, one-on-one with Anna Wintour. We've seen the high-profile arrivals all night at the Met Gala, and Michael Strahan got a chance to sit down with the 26-time Met Gala host and Vogue's editor-in-chief, who's giving us all the tea, all the details on what to expect from fashion's biggest night out.
The Met Gala, fashion's biggest night, where entertainment meets avant-garde. Helmed by the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour.
Well, the first Monday of May is upon us. So what are the final days and hours like leading up to the Met Ball, the Met Gala, which you've hosted numerous times?
Well, the final hours, really, there's not much, the train has left the station. There's not much more one can do except panic, which I do in spades.
You never come across as if you panic. You've hosted 26?
I think it's 26, but each one is very different. And this one has been, I think, particularly meaningful and emotional and has a real heightened sense of purpose because of the times that we're living in.
It's significant. I mean, it really is significant. And this one is called Superfine Tailoring Black Style.
Yes.
And it's the first time all 4 co-chairs and also honorary chair are all black men.
Yes.
So what is the message that sends?
Well, obviously the exhibition is recognizing black designers and recognizing the joy and confidence and almost the liberation of dressing with confidence can mean to everybody. So it felt very right to me to invite my wonderful, wonderful co-chairs to be part of the night. And Pharrell and Coleman and Lewis and Rocky, they've all been on the phone, they've been up to see the exhibition. They want to represent being co-chairs for this exhibition to the fullest.
And I can see why they care so much. It's a big honor to be asked to be a part of this. And I think what you're doing culturally, it means a lot to someone like me.
I'm very happy to hear
And I
that.
think for generations to come. But what role does race play in fashion today? And how has it changed since you started
Well,
at
I
Vogue?
think obviously there's always more work to be done, Michael, and it's very aware that the black fashion community needs to be supported as much as possible. But what I'm hoping that this exhibition will do is really put a light on the talent of all these arbiters of style and look at their traditions and their history and their culture. But most importantly to me, in a way, is when I look at the show, I see freedom, I see liberation, I see hope, I see respect, and I see joy.
Embodying that joy, this year's honorary chair, LeBron James, and event co-chairs, actor Coleman Domingo, Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton, rapper A$AP Rocky, along with musician and creative director Pharrell Williams, each showcasing their personal style on the cover of Vogue's Met issue.
Pharrell did the painting, Lewis was not a hair out of place with Lewis.
No,
you know that.
Man, that was perfection.
Yes.
And then, you know, Coleman wanted to dress, and then, well, Rocky, lucky, he was just having so much fun. I think they finished that shoot around 5, 6 in the morning. He's probably still there.
What made them the right ones for this role?
Well, I think their values. Obviously, I know well Pharrell and I know well Lewis, and I've had the privilege of knowing Coleman through this process, and I've been so impressed with his interest in black culture, his belief that he can help make a difference. And obviously Rocky is one of the best dressed people you've ever met in your life, as well as being so fun and so talented and so enthusiastic about this project. And well, LeBron, well, I'm talking to you about LeBron's LeBron, right? Yes.
And I can't think of this moment without thinking about your friend and collaborator, Andre Leon
Andre,
Cowan.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote my editor's letter about him. He has some wonderful costumes that are in the exhibition, and there's this amazing suit and picture of him sort of striding down the street that we...
So some of the things that he's worn, one of the costumes...
and one of the big capes, you know, he liked to cape, Andre, he liked to be noticed. The one, you know, missing factor in this whole event is the fact that Andre's not here and that he's not with us.
Yeah. He called it the Super Bowl of social fashion events. Why do you think this has become such a huge event?
Well, you know, it has been a process. When I was invited to become part of it many, many years ago, it was, you know, relatively small, under the radar. You have to kind of put a little, I'd love you to come if you can kind of thing, and it's grown over the years.
Do you have a special moment or outfit or look over the years?
No. I mean, outfits are great, costumes are great, seeing all these people are amazing. But my work is really about raising the money, the much needed funds for the Costume Institute. So that is what drives me. And that is what makes me feel I'm doing a good job.
The dress code for this year is tailored for you.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Well, we always try and honor the theme of the exhibition, and because the exhibition is really about men's tailoring, men's costumes, we felt that Tailoring for You was a nod to the title of the exhibition, the content of the exhibition, the theme of the exhibition, but also left, hopefully, room for self-expression and individualities.
But what advice would you give someone about having style that is tailored for them?
Well, it's a great suit, it's a great coat, it is fitted. In the end, it's about dressing for yourself. It's knowing who you are and what's going to work for you.
Is there anyone you're excited to see on the carpet?
Yeah, but I can't possibly tell you who that is.
You can't tell me?
No.
All right, well,
no, we keep our guest list locked under key.
Well, after this interview, you
I'll
can
tell you.
You can whisper in my ear.
Coming up, the urgent manhunt in Seattle after an inmate managed to escape custody at SeaTac Airport. But first, are you flourishing? What a recent study says about Americans' health, happiness, and purpose in comparison to other countries. We take a look by the numbers. Welcome back, everyone. Early results from a multi-year study show just how many people around the world are flourishing. The Global Flourishing Study includes more than 200,000 people across 22 countries. The study asked about different aspects of participants' lives, including health, happiness, character, relationships, meaning, purpose, and financial and material security, using the responses to create a score indicating just how they're flourishing. Let's take a look at the early returns by the numbers. Indonesia reported the highest mean flourishing score of 8.10. In contrast, Japan had a mean score of 5.89, which was the lowest of the group. The U.S. came in with a mean score of 7.11, which placed it toward the middle. The study particularly highlighted how scores differed according to age, saying that scores on average were flat until increasing at 50 years old. The United States specifically had the largest gap between younger and older scores. Those aged 60 to 69 had a mean score of 1.32 points higher than those aged 18 to 29 there. The study also noted that people attending religious services more than once a week had a mean score of 7.67, with average scores increasing in line with higher attendance. We should note that these results are from a multi-year study that is still in progress. Data will be collected annually until 2027. And still ahead, Lady Gaga rocked Rio de Janeiro as more than 2 million fans gathered to watch her perform. 2 suspects were arrested for allegedly planning an attack at the concert. Also next, we sit down with London-based singer-songwriter Matt Maltese, now releasing his 6th studio album. Welcome back to Prime. Collections are coming from millions of student loan borrowers. An alleged bomb plot targets Lady Gaga's historic concert, and Skype signs off for the final time. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown.
The Trump administration is now collecting on defaulted student loans after a 5-year delay. At least 5 million borrowers are now in default. Another 4 million are at risk. The government can start collecting from your tax refund, Social Security benefits, even your paycheck. If loans are not repaid, it could seriously affect your credit score. Borrowers in default should get an email from the Federal Student Aid Office to help set up payments. Police are searching for an inmate who escaped from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport on Sunday. Authorities were trying to transport 28-year-old Cedric T. Stevenson to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to face charges there. Stevenson managed to escape at the ticket counter despite being handcuffed. Surveillance shows him boarding a light rail train into the city. He was later seen leaving a train station about 16 miles away. The Microsoft-owned calling app Skype is finally saying goodbye. The app was launched in 2003 and was the first platform that allowed users to make computer-to-computer voice calls. With the advent of video calling and ubiquitous messaging apps like WhatsApp and Slack, Skype's market share was diluted over time. Back in February, Microsoft announced plans to sunset the application. Existing Skype users can export their data or move it over to the company's Teams app. 32 people were rescued after a luxury yacht began sinking off the coast of Miami. The yacht started taking on water and was slowly sinking as authorities were called to the scene to respond. Witnesses say the boat eventually flipped over and was completely vertical in the water. And this wasn't just any yacht. It was a 60-foot-long Tecnomar, made for the Italian car company Lamborghini, that sells for around $4 million. The Coast Guard said that all 32 boaters were rescued and brought ashore. Skechers is being acquired by private equity firm 3G Capital for $9 billion as the shoe company navigates newly implemented tariffs on China. The company's board unanimously approved the deal, which will keep the existing C-suite leadership. Shares for the company jumped almost 25% after news of the deal was released. Lady Gaga rocked Copacabana Beach in front of a record crowd. The pop icon performed at a free show in front of more than 2 million fans, according to the concert organizers. Rio de Janeiro's City Hall said more than 500,000 tourists from outside Brazil arrived in the city days ahead of the show. Brazilian authorities also arrested 2 people in connection to an alleged attack planned around the concert. A spokesperson for Lady Gaga said the singer did not know about the arrests until after the concert.
He's tailored for priests, bishops, cardinals, and now 3 popes. Now he's getting a whole bunch of people ready for the conclave. Our Terry Moran reports from Rome.
Now, this is a famous street. It's got a lot of restaurants, but it's also got several stores that sell clerical garments for bishops, for cardinals, and for popes. It's almost like a museum in here. This store, Mancinelli is the name. They've outfitted several popes. Here's Pope St. John Paul II. Here's Pope Benedict. And most recently, Pope Francis. What was Francis like as a customer?
Con me era molto sorridente, vede, io faccio le fotografie. Molto cordiale, molto sì, solare, splendido. Poi probabilmente era un po' duretto, però pratico. Pratico.
He was simple in some ways in his tastes, yes?
Sì, molto modesto. Io che lavoro da molti anni, fin dal primo del Concilio Vaticano II, il lavoro era molto più elaborato, molto più complesso.
Right, very complex.
Con l'avvento di Francesco si è molto alleggerito, si è molto impratichito, si è molto semplificato nelle materie, nella qualità, anche nel lavoro. Tutti i papi hanno avuto la fascia con il simbolo, lo stemma personale. Francesco no, mai. Semplice.
This is amazing. So Francis, because he was simple, he was kind of a style icon for the other bishops and cardinals. Everybody got more simple.
Sì.
So you got everything in here. Look at the caps over here. All the different colors for all the different ranks. One white one for the Pope.
Io faccio il sarto, Taylor, e prendo le misure.
There we go.
Sacerdoti, bishop, cardinali, 3 papi, sempre lo stesso, sempre questo.
Always this tape.
Only
this for popes, cardinals, bishops.
3 papi.
Bene, benissimo. Piacere. Auguri. Grazie.
Secondo te non è troppo grande, lui lo vuole molto comodo.
Cambiamo tutto poi. Sì, appunto.
2 different sizes for the next pope. Oh, I see.
1, 2.
Yeah. So you're ready.
Yes. Settimana prossima, sottana bianca.
The white cassock.
Preparare.
This is for the next pope.
Sì.
Yeah.
Sì. a pensare qualcosa, ma se fosse un amico mio io...
Could be a friend. Could be a friend, yeah. You never know. You never know. Another customer.
We'll soon see what he'll be wearing in perhaps just a few days from now. Our thanks to Terry Moran for that. A man crashed his vehicle through the gates of actress Jennifer Aniston's Los Angeles home. Sources close to the investigation tell ABC that the Friends star was home at the time. Their security pulled the driver out of the vehicle and detained him. It's unclear if the incident was an accident. The suspect is now in the custody of the LAPD and will be booked for felony vandalism for the damage he caused. Known for his tender piano harmonies and quintessentially British wit, London-based singer-songwriter Matt Maltese has established himself as one of the UK's finest young songwriters. He's now releasing his 6th studio album, Hers, on May 16th and gearing up to his tour starting in September titled Tour for You My Whole Life. Let's take a listen to his track, Always Some MF.
In past lives, I've worn his chains, helplessly, carnally.
And joining us now is singer-songwriter Matt Maltese. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this is really about a long-term relationship that you had.
Yes.
What made this the time to revisit it?
I suppose because it was quite recent, and it was probably the first sort of genuinely long-term relationship of my 20s where I wasn't like a hectic young person. And yeah, I suppose my job is basically just digging my emotional life up. And yeah, so it felt natural.
And does she know that she was
the
inspiration?
Yes.
What was her reaction?
Yeah, I don't know. I think generally pretty touched, I think. I think I'm always conscious that you're sort of telling someone's story without them being a part of the story too much. And I think the title was a bit of a dedication and just a reminder that it's not just me. And so, yeah, time will tell, I guess, yeah.
Because I feel like even if we had broken up and then you wrote a whole album about me, I would get back together with you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, we'll see, won't we? Yeah.
But you have said before with regard to music that the job is not to be the coolest guy. The job is to be the most vulnerable.
I think so.
So how do you go about that? Because a lot of times you want to have this, machismo, and you're really shedding it.
You know, I'm used to not being the most masculine guy in the room. And I think I feel confident now, even more in my late 20s, like leaning into that, being kind of a sensitive person, for use of a better term.
And this album is entirely self-produced. What's it like to not only be singer-songwriter, but then add producer into that mix?
It's a lot. I sort of underestimated the task, I think, at the beginning, but looking back on it now, I'm so glad I did it that way. I sort of made it exactly how I wanted to make it. But I wouldn't recommend it. I think it makes for an incredibly intensive experience when I think if you're already writing the music and recording it, having that sort of second pair of ears is a really useful thing. But would I have done it differently? Also, probably not. So I'm on the fence.
But maybe on the next album.
On the next one, I'm going to take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do write for other people. You lend your songwriting skills for other people who are on the label. What is that like for someone who actually sings themselves to give away kind of their intimate writings?
I really enjoy it. I think songwriting as a craft is something I'm really interested in. And so to have the opportunity to do that every day and have it not have to be about me the whole time. And I like the spotlight a bit, but I'm also really happy to be out of the spotlight. And yeah, the reality is that my sort of job as an artist is quite an isolated experience. And when I'm able to collaborate with other artists and write music for them, it's very joyful and collaborative, and you get to just be around amazing talent.
Who are some of the people who've inspired you?
I'd say Leonard Cohen is probably one of the biggest influences for me. He changed my life a lot at 18. The kind of the American songbook when I was growing up. And sort of like dry, funny British men, often like Jarvis Cocker and anyone who was happy to make a joke in a sad song. I was incredibly into it,
Well, it's working for you very well. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. You can listen to Hers starting next Friday. May 16th. Finally, tonight, the medical team that didn't just save the patient, they saved the day.
Ella Walker loves to play soccer. The 18-year-old was looking forward to all the excitement that spring of senior year brings, especially going to prom, when she had an accident on a trampoline. She immediately underwent back surgery to repair her injured spine with rods and screws. The surgery was a success. Recovery requires wearing a back brace 24/7. Her dreams of senior prom were dashed.
Everyone wants to look the most beautiful that they can. But with this brace, it's hard for me to feel beautiful.
But her care team at Memorial Hermann Hospital understood the assignment.
You ready to go to prom?
And brought the prom to her. Decorating a space in the hospital in the same Roaring '20s theme as the actual school prom. An ICU nurse helped her with her hair, and doctors gave her permission to briefly take off the back brace, don her prom dress, and take photos with friends.
This is just literally the most amazing thing that anyone has ever done for me in my entire life.
Fitting then that when Ella starts college in the fall, she plans to pursue nursing.
This entire experience has made me realize that I chose the right path for myself. Every day I go out, I just want to make someone's life a little bit brighter, make someone's life a little bit more joyous.
That is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.